Craving the perfect holiday snack? Check out Farmer Bill's Biltong. Think beef jerky, but better. No sugar, no preservatives, just pure animal protein goodness. Crafted from premium grass-fed beef or bison and air-dried to perfection, Farmer Bill's Biltong is nutrient-packed, energy-dense, and perfect for an on-the-go treat or a standout snack for your next party. My favorite is the original bison, but the other flavors like the original beef, smokehouse, and spicy chili have me second-guessing that choice more than once. Visit FarmerBillsProvisions.com to grab a 1-pound slab or a variety pack and use code BIZBIT10 for 10% off. Farmer Bill's Biltong, don't be the 2-liter guy at this year's Christmas party.
You're not holding 100% of the keys. AnchorWatch is not holding 100% of the keys, which is this interesting concept we like to call negative control, where we are not a custodian in the sense that we can unilaterally move the money. But us plus you can move the money. In the way the vault is constructed, we can't move the money without your signatures.
We are preparing to also offer Bitcoin denominated policies. So this would be where the entire ecosystem is a Bitcoin insured product. So instead of a $10 million policy, you might have a 50 Bitcoin policy. And so the limit of the policy is the nominal count of your Bitcoin. What that means is you pay your premiums in Bitcoin. So everything is going to be in Bitcoin. If you have a loss, that claim benefit will be paid out in Bitcoin. And that's a way that over time, really the asset value ceases to matter.
Welcome to the Business Bitcoinization Show, the show dedicated to helping you enrich your life and grow your business with Bitcoin, the hardest money on planet Earth. I'm your host, Josh Friedemann, and our guests today are Rob Hamilton and Becca Rubenfeld, who are the founders of AnchorWatch, an insurance company and the maker of Trident Vault, an advanced Bitcoin custody solution. Rob is a former IBM data scientist with deep experience in Bitcoin and custody technology. And prior to AnchorWatch, Becca spent nearly 20 years in the corporate environment at Target and Starbucks. If you've been on Twitter in the last couple of months, you've probably seen AnchorWatch and or Rob and Becca pop up more and more. I wanted to find out more about what they're doing, and I really enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you will as well. Of course, before we get to the interview, we do have this week's Bitcoin Meetup Spotlight. But even before that, I want to take a second to thank those who have been supporting the podcast on Fountain in the last week. Thanks to Nick and Regostro Wes for streaming sats to the podcast, as well as the Evangelise who sent a 98 sat boost along with this message: barefoot and naked. Got it. For those of you who listened to last week's episode with Veronica Max on her concierge medicine practice and how she accepts Bitcoin in her practice now, you may know exactly what this is in reference to. If you didn't listen to it, it's not as spicy as it sounds, but I think that if you go back and listen to last week's episode, you'll find a lot of value there as well. Either way, thank you so much to those who have been supporting the podcast on Fountain. If you would like to support the show, you can listen to Business Bitcoinization on Fountain and either stream sats as you listen or send a boost along with a comment on something that you appreciated from the show, wanted to call out, or wanted to respond to in one way or another. Now, for this week's Bitcoin Meetup Spotlight, we have the Northwest Arkansas Bitcoiners. Northwest Arkansas Bitcoin is for everyone, whether you've been around for several cycles or just overheard them talking at the meetup. They have a standing meetup on the third Tuesday of every month, but also hold deep dive sessions to educate on custody best practices, privacy tools, supporting the local economy, and home mining. And starting in December, they'll begin hosting a meetup specifically for self-custody on the first Saturday of each month. You can find all the information you need on their website, nwabitcoin.org, or on Twitter at nwabitcoin. Now, we're going to get to our interview with Rob and Becca right after this. Business owners, unlock the benefits Bitcoin has to offer your business with the Bitcoin for Business Quick Start Guide. This 27-page guide highlights the 6 ways you can grow your business with Bitcoin. Check it out in the show notes. Becca and Rob, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having
us.
So I like to start off every single interview with a few questions that help us to get to know you a little bit better and give us some insight for our own lives. So Becca, we'll start with you. The first question is, when and how did you first learn about Bitcoin?
I'm not even sure when I first heard of Bitcoin, probably just on the news. I first kind of got engaged in it in 2019, and I was trading my own portfolio, swing trading equities, and noticed that it was a highly volatile asset and so good for swing trading. So I was just swing trading it for a little bit before I knew anything about it. So 2019 for me.
Rob?
Yeah, I got into Bitcoin back in 2013. Funny enough, I had some friends that were mining Dogecoin, and I was kind of laughing along with them, had my GPU, was playing around, and I was like, well, this is actually kind of interesting tech. Let me learn more. And I was living in New York City at the time, and I went to the New York City Bitcoin developer meetup, number like 10, 9 or something like that. And they now just had their 200th. So that was really what kind of threw me in the deep end and actually inspired me to learn how to program.
So Rob, we'll keep with you for question number 2. What's an insight or fact about Bitcoin that you wish everyone understood?
I would say Bitcoin as a system works so well because it's endogenous. It takes all of the information in the system. It's self-referential. There's one piece of information that is actually outside of Bitcoin, and that's the timestamp the miners put in the block header. And this is really interesting for some of the stuff we do at AnchorWatch with time locks. But all of this to say, like, time is the only input that gets put into Bitcoin, and it allows you to actually have this time-based security that is unhackable or like unmodifiable for the first time ever, really. And it's a really exciting concept to start playing around with.
Becca, how about you? An insight or fact about Bitcoin you wish everyone understood?
Yeah, recently I'm finding the thing that really opens a lot of eyes for people when I talk about Bitcoin is actually going through and doing some ways that Bitcoin versus tokens and crypto differs, and taking them through that kind of journey of how Bitcoin is mined and how, it was created initially versus how, say, a token tends to come about, and really contrast those two things. I think I found super, super effective in making people interested. In particular, just how tokens raise money and issue the tokens at a super low valuation instead of shares in a company. So I found that super interesting and have been exploring how to use that to start conversations on Bitcoin.
And Becca, this question may or may not connect to your previous answer, but what's the Bitcoin resource you most recommend to other people?
So for me, I think this is very much mimics kind of how I learned about Bitcoin. But for me, these audio apps, so I really got orange pilled on an app called Clubhouse. Twitter Spaces is similar but different. And I really encourage people to go spend some time in these apps because unlike, say, consuming written material or even podcasts like this one, it's one where if you choose to, you can interact yourself. So you can learn a little bit, you can listen, but when you have questions, you actually, if you want to, can get up there and ask those questions yourself and get answers given back to you in a way that's really bespoke to your exact question, maybe to your exact level of learning. That really was instrumental for me. So that's where I point people.
It's really mind-boggling that you can directly hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. And not necessarily interact with them, but that's just an amazing thing to me.
It's definitely a big part of my entry into Bitcoin is having this opportunity to speak to the absolute most knowledgeable people on the planet on these topics and get very, very directed answers that met me where I was. It was amazing.
Rob, what's your most recommended resource?
I'll tell that in a moment, but that's how Becca and I met. Becca specifically got on Clubhouse, and she was someone who, like she said, she was swing trading, but she would spend hours in these rooms when this is back at peak COVID, where everyone was sitting at home using Clubhouse. And we were on stage with Jimmy Song, NVK, American HODL, Bruce Fenton, like this long list of people who all had these different perspectives of how Bitcoin works. And Becca just sat there and would prod and prod and prod. So she got like a curated, one-on-one curated over the course of months Bitcoin orange pilling experience. So she's very quickly skilled up and knowledgeable. That said, just to kind of put full justice in that response, for me, on what Bitcoin did, he recently did a good series of how, why, and what is Bitcoin. Like, what is Bitcoin, how Bitcoin, why Bitcoin. And it was with Dan Held, Harry Sudak, and American Hodl. And it's just a direct talk to the camera. It's not a formal interview. It's a Q&A. And I just think that's a really great way, because Harry goes deep into the energy grid. Hodl is Hodl, but also talks about like the culture, society, economic, and ethos of everything. And Dan Hill does a really good job too, talking about like the industry and the market and like how people start using and adopting this technology. So that's a great, like, each one's like a little over an hour, and it's a good little just bite-sized nugget asking really pointed questions.
Excellent. So, Rob, AnchorWatch is a fairly new endeavor for the two of you. I'm sure it's been in the process for a long time, at least in your minds. But what has been a resource, tool, or idea that's been helpful to you or your work at AnchorWatch recently?
So, for me, what's been really useful recently for us, and I guess for myself too, is just getting better with managing my own thoughts and my own time, like just time management, and being really focused and using tools for task management and, doing, Gantt charts, and really just being very strategic and deliberate, and understanding that there are always going to be urgent fires and, things that need to be taken care of. But every decision, every second of the day is an opportunity cost on what are you not doing instead, and being really informed and understanding what trade-off am I making in this moment helps make good decisions, and also quickly stop bad decisions. Because you can always undo a bad decision, but if you don't have perception and like what's going to start falling because you're accelerating towards something else, you don't want to be flying blind. So, and maintenance and hygiene of those tools is really important too, for making sure that you're just kind of very focused on getting what needs to be done.
And just real quick there, you mentioned Gantt charts. Are there any other tools or maybe pieces of software that are particularly helpful for you?
Yeah, ClickUp is, what we've been messing around and playing around with a lot. It's been a really powerhouse tool. And what's great about that is you can do lists, you can do Kanban boards for developers, you can have it be like ticket, almost like a Jira-like issue. And then you can click into that and make it look like a Gantt chart and show all the dependencies and sequences. So that's the specific name of the tool that, I've found really helpful.
And Becca, for you, a resource, tool, or idea that's been helpful to you or your work at AnchorWatch?
Yeah, I'd say there's a couple that come to mind. So one, I kind of ascribe to this principle that you need to be your best self to be your best self. I find that if I get lazy in one aspect of my life, it bleeds into another aspect. And so as we're really trying to build AnchorWatch into something special, be the best of the best, just in general, I just find that attitude bleeds over into other areas of my life. So, staying fit and healthy, like getting good sleep, being a good family member, taking care of my son and my parents, and just really try to be the best person I can. So it's a bit general, but I think that when I'm firing on all cylinders, it's all areas of my life, not just one. Mm-hmm. And then I think, since the question was kind of beyond Bitcoin, I think in terms of business, we're a year and a half or so into building AnchorWatch. The first months and even year, they're incredibly Bitcoin focused, right? So we're building a Bitcoin business. Rob, is extremely technical. I'm not. So I had a lot of learning to do on the Bitcoin technical side just to make sure that I was able to incorporate that into building the business. We're getting to a stage now that I'm getting a ton of value from going outside of Bitcoin. So talking to our pre-customers or prospective customers who are in traditional finance, who are managing assets, who are thinking about it in a different way, who aren't thinking about it from a Bitcoiner point of view, and just getting a better idea of their insights, what's important to them, how to speak to them, and making sure that we're incorporating that reality into our product. I think our product will serve both existing Bitcoiners very well, but also investors and people and institutions that are new to Bitcoin. So that's been super important as of recent to really look outside of the Bitcoin community and kind of dive in there.
And now, Becca, we have what we call our final arbitrary but insightful question, and it's this. As a general life principle, is it better to ask why or why not?
I would say in a personality, I'm more of a why not kind of person. Like, I just definitely do it. And then people are like, but that's not that's not the way. And I'm like, why not? Like, prove it. Like, on the other side, I could say that, Bitcoin itself is such a complex and multifaceted topic. There's so much to learn that I feel like I'm more in the why stage. Yeah, but like, why is it like that? Why? So I can go either way. I think personality wise, I'm a apologize versus ask for permission type person.
Sure. Rob, how about you?
So I think fundamentally, why not is the direction I go. And I think that goes a lot into the journey of how we started building AnchorWatch the way we did. I know we were getting out of like the opener question, so we could talk a little bit about AnchorWatch specifically. But the first question really around like, why is there not Bitcoin insurance? That's weird. Every other sophisticated financial asset in the world, you can get insurance for bottles of wine and bars of gold and fine art. Well, Bitcoin has value and should be secured. It's much better. Like, why not? Like, why haven't people done it this way? Why, why can't we, do things like time locks and more advanced Bitcoin scripts to enable better security? Like, why not? Right. And occasionally, I think you go back to why for evaluating existing systems, but as an entrepreneur, you're always asking why not. I think, and I would be curious if you went through all of your guests, if they said why or why not people. I think people who are going to skew to being entrepreneurs are going to be why not people. Because they're the ones that are saying, they're the ones that have the hubris to say, actually, the world is better with me and my idea existing. Right. So like, you're going to self-select for, that'd be an interesting idea though, but that's my answer.
Meet Linkster, your premier Bitcoin-focused advisor. Linkster caters to businesses, institutions, family offices, and high-net-worth individuals. They merge your unique financial goals and needs with Linkster's Bitcoin expertise to craft your own sustainable plan to preserve and grow the value of your hard-earned profits and retained earnings. At Linkster, it's not just advice, it's tailored execution. Connect directly with the founder by visiting linkster.com. That's LYNCSTER.com. Linkster. Secure your future with Bitcoin. Today's episode of Business Bitcoinization is proudly brought to you by Velis Commerce, where the future of business technology meets Bitcoin. As we journey through the era of Bitcoin and its transformational impact on businesses, there's one name that stands out: Velis Commerce. Whether you're looking to build a cutting-edge website, a seamless mobile app, or custom software, Velis is your go-to team. They've been diving deep into the world of Bitcoin since 2014, making them one of the most experienced groups for integrating Bitcoin and Lightning payments into a variety of digital platforms. But here's what truly sets them apart. Velis Commerce doesn't just build. They bring a wealth of knowledge to ensure your project's success from day one. Their team understands the nuances of Bitcoin, ensuring that your business stays ahead of the curve. And for all business Bitcoinization listeners out there, Velis Commerce is offering a free consultation to kickstart your project the right way. So if you're ready to future-proof your business in the coming age of hyper-Bitcoinization, head over to veliscommerce.com or reach out on Twitter at veliscommerce. Let's make sure your business thrives in the Bitcoin era. Yeah, people have recommended in the past going back and, taking out the different answers from every guest. It's just a lot of work, but it would be interesting to kind of compile those into a master set of answers.
It would be really interesting.
That said, we're here today to talk about AnchorWatch. We've talked through a number of these questions. Two of you have answered. I want to make sure we do have a lot of time, though, to talk about AnchorWatch, at least as much as possible, because to your point, Rob, I was talking with someone at a recent Bitcoin meetup, maybe a couple months ago, kind of suggesting that it's not really feasible to have insurance for your Bitcoin because it's an exponentially growing asset. And, how do you insure something like that? And so I'm here in the seat of the student today to learn from you about how this is possible and some of the things you're doing at AnchorWatch. So Becca, maybe you can start off. You said that you were the more non-technical person, which is good because I think a lot of the audience is non-technical as well. So if you could just share with us a little bit about AnchorWatch and what y'all are doing.
Sure. So AnchorWatch in general is an insurance company and a tech company. So we want to provide regulated insurance on Bitcoin, similar to really any other bearer asset class in the world. So if it's a bar of gold or a fine painting, jewelry, a home, if it's a physical asset or an asset that can be made physical, it should have insurance on it. And it needs to be a mature asset class. So that's kind of our goal. That's our guiding principle is being able to offer that. And then to be able to offer that, once we determined that was where we were headed, the next question is like, well, how does this Bitcoin need to be stored in order to be ultra secure and therefore where we can sell insurance at an affordable rate. Because ultimately, the level of risk, the likelihood that it's, lost, stolen, that a claim happens, determines how affordably you can offer insurance. And if we can offer insurance, but it's at this astronomically high premium rates, then it's unlikely to be successful. So the question that we posed to ourselves was, how can it be stored in such a secure manner that we can insure it affordably? And so that led us to build our Trident Vault. So Trident Vault is a multi-signature self-custody coordinator software that incorporates something special, which is Miniscript. And that really sets it apart from other kind of vaulting systems or multi-sigs on the market today. But big picture, that's kind of what we are, an insurance company and a tech provider.
Excellent. Rob, I'm guessing that you're, to some degree, the mastermind behind Trident Vault, Trident Wallet. Would love to hear a little bit about the custody and how it makes insurance feasible for Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, the name Trident came from Becca. So the look in the UX came from Becca.
Okay.
So very clearly delineating here the hitting the hammer and the wrench against the Bitcoin blockchain and doing cool things. I did. Anything that you touched and experienced, Becca.
Sure.
Right, so just to delineate that. It's really interesting in just talking about Bitcoin as a business, because originally we started AnchorWatch in March of last year, and Trident wasn't part of the original vision. And we came to an understanding that for our company to be as successful as we wanted it to be, we had to focus on commercial customers, which immediately said, okay, 2 of 3 multi-sig, not sufficient for insuring money like a $10 million vault or a $100 million vault or $1 billion vault, right? So Mitch at Bitco talks about this, that we're trying to build the tech for the next $1 trillion wallet. And I think kind of what we're doing is part of that story. And all of this to say is that the way Bitcoin, most people use it today, they either use a single sig or a multi-sig, 2 of 3, 3 of 5, or a single key. Bitcoin is programmable money, and you can use it for more interesting things than just that. And so what we've built on top, standing on the shoulders truly of the Blockstream research team, and so Andrew Polstra and Sanket over at Blockstream, as well as Peter Will, now at Chaincode, they built Miniscript back in 2018. And this whole idea is that when you want to write more custom Bitcoin code, like contracts for executing security, there's a lot of foot guns and there's a lot of overhead and tech debt. So it gets complicated. Most people don't do that. And Miniscript was this idea of being able to make that more approachable. So that's the high background. What does it actually do though? It allows us to do an interesting concept called a key set, which would be, Josh, let's say you're a customer. Let's say it's your 2 of 3 plus the AnchorWatch 2 of 3, right? It's not a 4 of 6. It's a 2 of 3 and a 2 of 3, meaning if your keys don't sign, the money can't move. On the flip side, if AnchorWatch does not sign, the keys can't move. Now, what happens, Josh, hypothetically, if you were to lose all of your keys? You got hit by a bus, you just decided your house burnt down, whatever it was. Well, this is where the second element comes in, called the time lock. Mm-hmm. So most people, how they interact with Bitcoin, there's only one way you can interact with it. 2 of 3, 3 of 5, single sig, lightning channel, but that's it. There's no, but what Miniscript does allows you to have or statements. And that means you can have an actual different spending condition based on the passage of time with the time lock. So you can actually say, if you had an insurance policy on January 1st this year, you could say on January 2nd, 2024, if you lost your keys, we can have ways to recover the funds, right? And this is where it gets really interesting with the intersection of insurance, is that one, we were able to previously, when people built solutions, they were worried about what's our biggest threat vector and risk, and let's design around that, usually who's holding the keys. With this, though, we're able to kind of expand the threat modeling, though, to say what are all the threats that we're concerned about and make sure they can all be mitigated. Additionally, we're doing risk distribution. Right, Josh, you're not holding 100% of the keys. AnchorWatch is not holding 100% of the keys, which is this interesting concept we like to call negative control, where we are not a custodian in the sense that we can unilaterally move the money, ever. But us plus you can move the money, right? And so if Becca and I were massive scammers, in the way the vault is constructed, we can't move the money without your signatures. So all of a sudden you're going to see a signature of, like, someone's going to be like, oh, you sign this transaction with your ledger. And it's like, I didn't authorize sending all my Bitcoin to this address. No, I'm not going to sign. So it's this way of encoding rules on Bitcoin that cannot be falsified or changed after the fact. Because once it's in an address, it's locked there. And these are the kind of, like, you start seeing the building blocks of intersections and how we can do that. And one quick thing, Bitcoin price may be exponential. We're starting with a US dollar denominated policy. And the way you get around that is a policy limit. So you have $1 million of Bitcoin. It's $1 million limit. We're not a financial insurance instrument like an options contract. We're preventing access to be able to spend the Bitcoin. So I know that was a lot of information, a lot of technical details. I can take a pause there, and you can ask questions, or Becca can jump into.
Maybe Becca, if you have anything to add before I continue on with the additional questions.
Yeah, I think in terms of the tech itself and the mini script and how we use these key sets combined with time locks, and we're able to layer security and have these multiple mitigations, we think that it is truly combining the best of both worlds, especially for commercial customers. So, there are reasons to do self-custody, not having counterparty risk, that you're fully trusting this entity. On the flip side, especially if you're an institution, like, you're looking for compliance and governance, right? You're looking to make sure that the representatives of the company don't steal the Bitcoin, things like that. And so with Miniscript and with Trident Vault, we really are kind of bringing both of those together and doing best of both worlds. And that makes it super insurable. As Rob, just going back to kind of the lead up for your question about how, because of the appreciating asset, Rob's exactly right that there's really two ways to handle the asset value, and the fact that, it's over time, it's going up and to the right. How can you possibly ensure this? So there's two ways. The first way is exactly what Rob described. Just think of it, like a painting, right? So let's say you have a highly valuable painting and you want to insure that painting. That when you sign up for the insurance policy, you're going to have that painting appraised, and it's going to be given a dollar value. So let's say it's a $10 million painting. You have an insurance policy worth $10 million. If you have a loss, you don't get paid out in paintings. You get paid out in $10 million. And so then you can say, well, yeah, but the fine art market, it's been going up and up year over year. What do you do? Okay, yep. When your policy is going to expire, you have that painting reappraised. And so if that $10 million policy now needs to be a $14 million policy, for your next policy term, you would just update the policy to the new limit that matches the actual asset value. So that's ultimately the easiest way to think of for our policies. So USD limit, so we're going to do a spot price of Bitcoin. And for the insurance term, for the policy term, that's the dollar limit of your Bitcoin. When you're ready to renew, we'll reprice the policy and have a new limit. And then, if you felt underinsured, if the value of the Bitcoin had changed significantly, you could call in just like any other policy and do a mid-year adjustment. Now, the interesting and exciting thing is also the second way that we can do this. And this is something that at AnchorWatch we're working on in parallel. The USD policy that I just described is going to be in market very soon. So that's how we're going to market. We think it's very, very traditional and understandable. The TradFi, traditional finance customers, institutional investors, it will be very, very familiar, backed by A-rated carriers, and just something that brings a lot of confidence. In parallel, though, we are preparing to also offer Bitcoin denominated policies. So this would be where the entire ecosystem is a Bitcoin insured product. So instead of a $10 million policy, you might have a 50 Bitcoin policy. And so the limit of the policy is the nominal count of your Bitcoin. What that means is you pay your premiums in Bitcoin. So everything is going to be in Bitcoin. If you have a loss, that claim benefit will be paid out in Bitcoin. And that's a way that over time, really the asset value ceases to matter all that much because the entire system is denominated in Bitcoin. That's going to be a little later to market because there's lots of additional things to consider, in particular with regulators, making sure that we're doing everything and that the collateral for that, because to be insurance, it has to have this very provable collateralized reserve pool that gives us the ability to provide that guarantee that we can meet our financial obligations. So there's a little bit more to do on the regulatory side. So it'll be a little bit delayed to the USD policy, but I think it's super exciting in general. And that's the other way to do it. But either way, there's definitely a very straightforward way to kind of deal with the fact that it's a volatile and increasing asset that's increasing in value.
So a couple questions from that. First of all, once you're able to offer the insurance policies in Bitcoin terms and through Bitcoin payments, is that something that you feel like a lot of people will move toward? Does that give people more confidence, or are you afraid that it would seem scarier to maybe more of a traditional business to have everything in Bitcoin terms?
Great question. We will offer these policies in parallel because I think they'll appeal to different types of Bitcoin owners. I think there's a lot of institutional customers who very much want the traditional USD policy, who they're like, no, I really just want to know, how many dollars do I have a guarantee for? Mm-hmm. And they want the really well understood traditional kind of, we joke, and the boomer insurance policy that I think there will continue to be a really, really robust market for that. Over time, I see just ongoing and increasing interest in the Bitcoin denominated policy. I think for customers who are already quote unquote Bitcoiners, who really, really understand that the goal for many of them anyway is to increase the nominal count of their Bitcoin, and that they're less concerned about the USD value at any particular point in time. And they're really focused more on how many Bitcoins they own and how many they would be guaranteed back. I think there will be, ongoing interest there. So for the foreseeable future, we see them really complementary and they enable us to really cover the whole globe in terms of what customers would want in terms of insurance.
If a client's paying the policy in Bitcoin, does that change how you approach how the business is run? Because, I'm not extremely well versed in insurance, but I feel like, it's the general approach is a company gets paid in dollars and they put that money to work in the meantime. But putting Bitcoin to work, does that look any different than what you might do with dollars as a normal insurance company?
In terms of how a customer pays their premium, we leave that up to them, right? So again, if you're insuring a $10 million painting, you don't cut off a corner of that painting and pay your policy and in the painting itself. You come up with capital elsewhere, and you pay your premiums with that. So in terms of, as we have both policies, like do customers, pay with their Bitcoin? Do they acquire other Bitcoin, especially to pay their premium? We really leave that up to the customer.
Yeah, and just to jump in on your point about like putting Bitcoin to work, I think that's more of a problem when you have a fixed income instrument like whole life insurance, right? Where you have to have a set amount that you need to pay. For us, one way insurance companies make money is by putting their dollars to work and floating them out, right? In our context, we don't need to do that to run the business profitably. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would just say that like it depends on how you're considering the financial wrapper. Now, for how most insurance companies do work today, they actually are just bag holders for treasuries and bonds, and like that's how it's called the float. They have this passive income, so while the money's sitting there, they're just kind of earning some return in yield. Very aptly observed, Josh, that you don't want to just do that and just sending off to a random rehypothecation for the Bitcoin while it's being held in escrow. So those are the mechanics that we've put a lot of thought into and are also part of the conversations with regulators and getting this stood up, making sure. Because as Becca said, like for it to be insurance, there has to be locked in, escrowed funds. They have to be available to get called in the event there's a claim benefit payment. When
it comes to I think you said there's a 2 of 3 on the customer's end, a 2 of 3 on your end. If I understood that correctly, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that for whatever reason, the customer loses all of their keys. The Bitcoin is time locked. Is it just a matter of waiting until that period of time, however far in the future it is?
Yeah. So mechanically, the way this works is that we, after your policy expires, let's say you lost all of your keys, whatever happens, us and a designated third-party recovery partner can work together to recover the funds. And again, though, that's not AnchorWatch becomes a custodian. Like AnchorWatch is not the only signer here. It's still AnchorWatch plus a third party has to come together to be able to move those funds and return them to the customer. Additionally, though, in the event you're like, hey, AnchorWatch, was really great working with you, I'm not interested in renewing, we can actually set it up so that after that recovery layer, it just goes back to full sovereign 2 of 3 multisig. And that's a strictly better paradigm when you think about like, I left my funds at an exchange, and then you're like, oh, hello, Mr. Exchange, can I get my funds back? Oh, it's FTX. Oh, it's Celsius. Oh, it's Prime Trust. Like you go down the list. We can set these financial contracts on chain in such a way that when you don't want the product anymore, the default state after the contract expires, the funds get returned to you, and we don't become a custodian at any point. And these are kind of like it goes back to that why not question. Why not do Bitcoin this way? It doesn't require a fork. It works today with major hardware wallets, the cold card and the ledger. Like, why aren't we doing this stuff, right? And I think that's this is where you start kind of in Bitcoin. We often we have such strong agreements on a lot of cultural and economic and political things that we sometimes just don't see past each other's shoulders and see that there's a whole world that people haven't thought and touched yet in how Bitcoin works. And this kind of design of a product this way, that's kind of making the maximal benefits of the Bitcoin as a network, and making it actually wrapped in such a way we can do it with a financial product. And we can do it in new and innovative and interesting ways. And that's how we see us being able to tackle this market. And why hasn't this been done before? Because everyone else was using it as a sole custodian. Like, okay, I'm going to keep all the funds at this company. Well, if all the funds are at one place, that's a concentration of risk, which is toxic to underwriting and insurance. Because it doesn't matter how cool and how many gizmos you have on your cryptography stack. If all of the company actors at one company act bad, the money's gone, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, and then additionally, like, to preview, Becca wrote a really great blog post talking about this, like custody without coverage. If you're going to pay a custody fee, like in the event the custodian, like things go south, like what are you paying for if it's not insurance? Yeah. Right. If you're going to pay someone for this service, the idea is that if they mess up, you get something back in return. And that's not how people are really structuring products today. And that's what we think is a really important thing. Not to steal Becca's thunder, but
it's an important question. So I try to answer it in the blog. But yeah, the question is why would you pay for uninsured custody? Like why? Once insured custody solutions are available, the idea of choosing more or less an unguaranteed custody provider as compared to one who does provide that financial guarantee. I mean, obviously we're biased, but it seems like a pretty clear differentiator. And if you have a significant amount of Bitcoin, I think you have to at least consider that question very seriously.
I always feel like there's more to talk about, but especially today, I feel like we've hardly scratched the surface with AnchorWatch and all that's possible, but I do want to be respectful of your time. So if you could just share some final thoughts, each of you, as well as where to find out more about AnchorWatch and to follow y'all on social media. I will say that your great follows on Twitter, whether it's y'all going to Lloyd's of London, which I was hoping to talk to you at least a little bit about, or, it's like, shoe shining or making this massive vat of bone broth. There's great stuff y'all are always up to, whether it's connected to AnchorWatch or not. But love to hear some final thoughts as well as where people can go to find out more about what y'all are doing.
So sure. Well, absolutely. Twitter is great. Rob will give you shoe shining tips. I will give you sheet washing instructions. These things are very important to us. It has been really fun that with Twitter and with some of social media, Rob and I get to have a little bit of our personalities show through I think what will become more and more stodgy insurance exterior. So that's very fun for us. Absolutely. The website, of course, is going to be a great resource, anchorwatch.com. So plain and simple there. You can get information on both the insurance and on Trident Vault. Just here in the next week or so, I will be publishing a refresh to the website. So at the moment, it's pretty high level. There will be quite a bit more detail soon. And then we expect to be actually offering policies and underwriting customers shortly after the start of the new year. So probably lots and lots of opportunities, and we'd love to share more about it. And we can talk Lloyd's and reinsurance, and we can go as deep into insurance as you want in a future talk.
Excellent. Rob, anything else on your end?
Yeah, I guess really briefly, AnchorWatch, great general reference website. TridentVault.com is where actually the open beta is live right now. Maybe by the time you're hearing this, we're taking it down for a little bit, just kind of polishing all of the servers and kind of getting everything ready to go for full production launch. But everything I described and talked about today is actually available there if you have a Cold Card or a Ledger or a Spectre DIY. Other signing devices coming soon. You'll be able to start playing, mess around with that. Just to say that the tech is live and out there, and people have been giving us amazing feedback.
Rob, you've done a bunch of podcasts on Miniscript itself. Might be worth maybe name dropping those, just because if people are interested in the tech.
Yeah,
it's great.
If you're technically minded, so I did Citadel Dispatch earlier this year with Matt Odell. I also did a podcast with I did so many podcasts. Now I'm blanking on. I did a panel at Bitcoin Miami with Andrew Polstra, who wrote Miniscript, and Antoine Riard, who's the Antoine Poisson, not Antoine. Antoine Riard's the Lightning dev. Antoine Poisson, who's the CTO of Wizard Sardine and the Liana wallet. Yeah, I would just kind of go there. I think we're publishing the blog with the Miniscript resources very shortly. If you just type Rob Hamilton Miniscript, it'll come up, and there'll be plenty of stuff on YouTube and podcast apps to be able to go check out for sure.
Great. Well, Becca and Rob, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us, Josh.
Well, friends, it's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Business Bitcoinization Show. If you want to reach out to either me or Becca or Rob, you can find those links in the show notes below. Give Becca and Rob a follow on Twitter, and check out AnchorWatch for yourself. As always, keep building, keep growing, and until next time, keep living and leading well. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, thank you. If you want to take a further step in your support for the show, you can help us grow by listening on Fountain, a value-for-value podcast app on iOS or Android. If you hear something you like that you disagree with or anything else, you can share it by sending some sats and adding a comment with your thoughts. Some of you have already done this, and I appreciate it. I'm going to begin reading your boosts on upcoming episodes, so if you have some insight or value to add, let the people know. Getting started with Fountain is easy. You can add Bitcoin to your Fountain wallet by using your fiat accounts or any Lightning wallet. And one of my favorite features is that once you're using the app, you can earn sats just by listening on Fountain. Check out the link in the show notes to get started with Fountain today.